Feeler gauges are typically a series of different thickness metal blades. Sometimes they'll come in brass if you have to measure the clearance between a magnetic object. However, this one is all fanned out and it goes from 35 thousandths of an inch, and the lower number is millimeters, and it goes all the way down to 1.5 thousandths of an inch at the thinnest spot. And these are nothing more than a blade of steel that has a precision thickness to it. This one here is your 1.5 thousandths, and it is really thin compared to your 35 thousandths, which is a bit thicker. This particular kit goes from 1.5 up to 35. Feeler gauges are designed to be placed in between two objects. And the trick to feeler gauges are how smoothly the feel of a drag as you move the feeler gauge between objects. A good way to check a feeler gauge is to use a micrometer. This is the 35 thousandths of an inch feeler gauge right here, and we're going to set this micrometer to 35 thousandths of an inch, which is right here. Then we will lock this down. So there we have 35 thousandths of an inch set to that micrometer. Now, when you're measuring with a feeler gauge, the trick is that you want to enter straight in on this measurement. Any slight angle is going to impact the drag on that feeler gauge. So as I get that straight down on top of that, as I move this feeler gauge back and forth inside this micrometer, you get a certain amount of drag to it. This is the feel that you get from a feeler gauge. This is a good way for a technician to get used to feeling what that feel is supposed to feel like. If you come in at an angle, you will get the wrong reading. Or if the feeler gauge is tilted like this or like this, you will get the wrong reading as well. So coming straight in on a measurement is going to be critical. This is a transmission shaft, and I have a gear that sits on the shaft, and this gear rotates on this bearing surface right here. There's a gap that fits between these two gears, and that's the measurement that we need to make. When using feeler gauges, we often use what's known as a go, no-go method. What that means is that you will place a feeler gauge into a location to check the clearance, and if it goes in just fine, then you need to try the next larger feeler gauge. Now this one here is a 6 thousandths of an inch feeler gauge, and we're going to now try a 7 thousandths of an inch. We will continue to increase the size of the feeler gauge until we find the one that doesn't go in. So here's my 7 thousandths. And right now, I get the feeler gauge in, but it sticks. I can't move it back and forth smoothly like this. So this 6 thousandths goes in, but this 7 thousandths, it starts to go in, and then it gets stuck right there. So the 7 thousandths is a no-go, and the 6 thousandths is a go. As I move the 6 thousandths through that gap, I can get that feeler gauge feel in there, and I can check this clearance. Now you want to check the clearance all the way around. You don't want to just do one particular spot. The fact that I can move this feeler gauge all the way around tells me the clearance on this gear is 6 thousandths of an inch. It's not 7 because 7 gets stuck. The clearance on this gear is really small, and you can see the little tiny bit of movement here that takes place.